Welcome to the
Community Proud Podcast.
It's Dustin and Abraham here for the intro once again. We're outside at a park in Sierra Field area. It's a pretty nice day. It's like in the 70s right now.
Yeah, Southwest Lemoore.
Southwest Lemoore off the 19th. I feel like a news reporter right then. I was like on the weather, on the location.
It's a sunny day down in Southwest Lemoore.
Anyways, yeah, we're outside. We just decided to take advantage of this nice weather, so we're recording this thing outside. Sorry if there's any background noise or kids or wind or
the rapture of joy.
Yeah. So yeah, this is episode number 12 with Tim Welsh.
13. Oh wait, no, it's 12. My bad.
It's all good. So, before we begin, I'm just gonna plug his Instagrams before we forget. He's got his business page for tattoos, it's Tactical Tattoo on Instagram, all put together, and he now has a personal page as well that he just started. It's called Art by Tim Welsh. And what do you think of this episode, man? You said you just watched it.
All right, so just finished editing it, and yeah, he talks about. Okay, so we have a lot of people from Lemoore who do not like Lemoore. A lot of people who just want to get out of Lemoore, out of the valley. Tim Welsh shows love for Lemoore, and he came back here to raise his kids, and he wants his kids to grow up here. And I think that's an awesome love for the community he has, and what he does for the community is awesome. And he's been working 15 years now, huh? Yeah, started his own business in 2004. There were lots of other businesses already grandfathered in the city, and he had to work his way up to become dominant and become
what he is today,
create his business.
Yeah, man, I really like just to add on what you said, you can just tell he has a passion and a love for the small community in Lemoore, and just the fact that he wanted to come back and raise his kids here, that just shows how much he really does love it here. And it shows through his work as well. I mean, and when he talks about opening up his skate and surf shop across the street from the skate park, I'm not going to tell the whole story because you guys got to listen to this episode, but it's a really cool story of how he started it, and it's just really not even a selfish reason at all, not even to make money. It's just for the kids basically. And he's just got a cool story. And anything you want to add on?
Yeah, it does a lot of things for the kids. He has a funny story about protecting the kids' right of speech.
Yeah.
At the skate park.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
So that's our little intro, little summary. But you guys we'll listen to the full episode to really get the details. So we'll send you on your way. This is episode 12 of the Community Proud Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Community Proud Podcast. And this is episode 12.
Enjoy.
So here we are, man. Thank you so much for having me over. We're just gonna basically just like a basic one of my interviews. I usually just talk about the person's background, where they're from, where they grew up, and then I talk about what they're doing now. Obviously, you have a couple shops that I'm gonna ask about, and then also you're just doing. I don't even know everything that you're doing, so I'm gonna have you explain a little bit of that as well.
For sure.
And then anybody out there that's listening that wants to be where you're at one day, you're gonna give them some advice at the end.
All right, yeah, we can help out with that.
All right, cool. So let's start off with where you grew up. So where'd you grow up at?
So I grew up here in Lemoore, California. My parents are a military family, and they brought us here in 1999. And, I began elementary school at PW.
Okay.
PW Elementary. So, we came here, kind of transplanted from Washington. And before that, we were in Texas. That's where I was born. So a couple different places, transplanted to Lemoore. Lemoore is a beautiful place to live. My parents saw that right away, I think. And they knew that they wanted to be a part of this place in the community. So just a good place to raise kids. And I guess that's what they were hoping for. Stayed here all the way till high school, graduated in 2004. Then we went on to that's when I kind of started my tattoo trade a little bit. And I was also, doing construction odd jobs, trying to pay the bills, trying to get through because the tattoos weren't too good yet. But I always stayed like skateboarding, and that was one of my big influences. The skateboard, it was kind of like a babysitter for me growing up, and kept me out of trouble and kept me on the right path, kept me around the good dudes, and that's kind of where I started with the whole family thing.
Okay. And so, going like, what was it like in high school? Where'd you go to high school at?
So we went to high school here.
Lemoore High.
Yeah, Lemoore High School, and started as a freshman. Loved it. Went all 4 years in Lemoore High. Graduated in 2004. Was part of the wrestling team for a couple years out of there when grades would permit. I had a hard time keeping them grades up. I should have worked a little harder on that. Knowing now what I know, I should have worked way harder in school because it would have took me way further in life. But at the time, high school, it's kind of a fun phase. You're kind of figuring out who you are. So I spent a lot of time on the skateboard, in a wrestling room, just doing artwork, drawing, having fun. That's mainly all I cared about in high school, was just having fun. Yeah, chasing tail around.
All right, so let's go to your family now. So you have a couple of kids, right?
Right, so yeah, fast forward, now I have 4 kids.
All right.
I got 3 boys, 1 girl, and they range from 11 years old all the way to 1 year old. So we definitely have a full house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's busy.
What is it like around the house?
It's crazy. It's absolute chaos. It's a disaster 90% of the time because you can't pick anything up. As soon as you do, another kid's pulling something out. One person's hungry. One person's going pee or poop in their pants, so it's a constant shuffle, just juggling. You got kids at baseball practice, got another one that kind of just wants to do his own thing, and he's always out on the skateboard and on the iPad, so it's just, it's busy. Yeah, it's like training a team.
So what's the oldest one? What is he into?
So he's our baseball player right now. He's all into baseball. He also, skateboards a little bit, but I think he has more fun doing baseball. A lot of his buddies play baseball, so he's out there with them, kind of hustling around the field, trying to learn the skills, trying to keep up with the team. So he's doing good, though.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about the next? What's the
So next would be that's my 9-year-old, and he's pretty crazy. He's a little more ruthless. He's always into something else. One day he's in gymnastics, the next day he's I don't know what, building ramps or construction, jumping his bike off of it, and then the next day he's on a skateboard, and then, it just, he alternates all kinds of stuff. Next day he's a hip-hop dancer.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He likes to latch on to different things that go on in his life, and, he just has a lot of excitement about different themes, and he'll grab one thing and be that guy for a few weeks, and then grab onto another thing and be that guy for a few weeks.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I wish I could do stuff like that.
Yeah, he bounces around. I think he's trying to find what he likes, so it's cool for kids when they're young to kind of try a little bit of everything. That way, growing up, they have a feel for, this might be something more important to me. So I think it's cool. He's exploring ideas, in his youth, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So what about the next oldest? I know these.
Right. So the next one is she's about to turn 3 in April.
Okay.
And it's my daughter, and she runs the house. Everything revolves around her. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. She's little Miss Princess, pretty much. She's got all her brothers wrapped around her fingers. It's pretty funny to see her act. She's like the boss. She kind of reminds me of like Angelica off the Rugrats a little bit. Yeah. She's
cool.
like, always in charge, telling people what to do. And she's just coming into all her words right now. So she has a lot of questions, and she's pretty cute and funny. It's a good time for her right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got the 1-year-old as well.
Yeah, the 1-year-old, he's crazy. He's learning words. He only knows a couple, mom and dad, and no. But
important words, I guess.
Yeah, he's super cute. He's super funny, and he'll be turning 2 in July, and his birthday is on 7/11, so we get free Slurpees for life with him, so that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 7/11 Slurpees on his birthday.
That's
Born on 7/11.
Hey man, that's a good strategy. When I get that to that time, I'm gonna try to strategize my kid to be born on 7/11, I guess, so I can just go down to 7-Eleven, have some Slurpees.
Yeah, free Slurpees no matter what on 7/11.
That's awesome.
Shout out to them, AM, PM.
All right, so now let's transition a little bit into what you're doing now. I guess I'll ask you about what I know most, and that's the tattoo shop. So when did you, obviously you said you're around high school when you first got into tattooing just in general, but when did you decide like you wanted to pursue this as a career?
So I guess, well, it's really hard for me to say because tattooing, I was always passionate about. I remember my dad, his name is Jerry, and he literally is a sailor for like 32 years. He ran the seas, and he would always come home with a new tattoo. And, you know, Sailor Jerry thing was huge at that time. And he would just always come home with new ink. And I guess that's where my love for tattooing started was, you know, seeing my dad come home with a new one. And I just correlated that together, like, you know, love tattoos, that kind of thing. And so I always wanted one. And I got in trouble a lot throughout the years in school for drawing on myself with permanent markers and drawing on other kids because they would go home with like, you know, all kinds of cool designs on their arm. And eventually it turned into, you know, drawings. And I took some art classes in high school, did really well, won some awards, got my stuff, you know, hung up for a while, like in the halls of the high school and stuff. And then we had an exit interview. It's a program that Lemoore High School does. And it's for kids that are looking for a future position, like what's your dream job? Like if you could have any dream job, what would it be? This is what we want you to apply for to get out of high school. It's your senior exit interview, you know, into the real world. And I interviewed to be a tattoo artist. That's and awesome. Obviously I haven't done a tattoo yet because I wasn't old enough. But I did have like a portfolio, which was a binder full of my drawings that I had been drawing throughout the years. And when I went in there, it was 2 young Navy ladies, and they were questioning me. Okay, Mr. Welsh, you know, what do you want to be? I told them a tattoo artist, and they quickly looked through my portfolio, and they both said, we would get tattoos from you. Awesome. Yeah, so that's kind of where it started. And then after that, a past girlfriend of mine, she had an uncle that was a tattoo artist, and I had seen her in passing some years later, and she had mentioned that he was tattooing and he could possibly use some help. And I reached out to him, and it just kind of took off from there. He showed me how to tune the machine, you know, clean up all the stuff properly and dispose of everything. And you know, just after that, I took it upon myself, went to Las Vegas for 3 years, tattooed out of different places, different shops, and I worked as an iron worker to make my money, and I got a lot of clientele out of that because all the guys were construction, were into tattoos, so I really got good there. And then I came back to Fresno and opened up shop and had a shop there, worked in 2 different for about 7 years, and went really well. We had a great time, did a lot of cool tattoos. Eventually got tired of Fresno because it was getting kind of shady there. And we decided, hey man, let's go to the beach where it's more fun. So we picked up our stuff and headed to the sand. And it was awesome. Had a shop out there for about 4 years. And then came back home to Lemoore. Lemoore was really hard for me to get into because there's already established businesses here that are kind of grandfathered in. So I had to work extra to get back into the town that I grew up in. And mainly I wanted to come back because I want to raise my kids here. So that's kind of a little background on the tattoo thing. You know, now we're here. We've had this place for 4 years. It's doing great. The same crew that we started with has been here. We had a couple knuckleheads that have worked here, but you know, we got rid of them pretty quick. Other than that, it's been pretty successful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll take this opportunity now to like kind of on the your tattoo side of things. If someone was to look to where you're at right now and say, hey, I want to be where he's at in the tattoo world right now, what would you suggest for them right now?
So main thing is draw. draw as much as you can. Build your portfolio as I did before I ever tattooed. Build your artwork portfolio. Stick to it. Build a really heavy one so when somebody sees it, they're like, wow, this is amazing. And then take that into, a tattoo shop and try to score an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship is going to teach you everything you need to know about tattooing, and it's going to be the professional way. So don't learn from the street, on your homies and stuff like that. I say go into a shop, guaranteed there's going to be one that's going to take you. If it's not in your hometown, reach out to the surrounding businesses, around you. And then if it's not in your county, get out of county. If it's not in your, get out of state if you got to. You got to make moves, meet anybody that you can. The people that are willing to teach you are going to be the ones that you're going to be able to grow off of. So you got to find the right teacher, somebody that's going to be able to take you on, teach you the ways, from start to end. Yeah. And then after that, score a job as a professional. I would say apprentice for 2 to 3 years. Just that way you're really good and you got a pretty good grasp on how it's supposed to be operated, and then score a job at a shop.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then from there you kind of climb the ladder, Yeah, you just you make you kind of outwork all the homies. That way you get all the business, and then eventually they all work for you.
Wow. Just like that.
Yeah, you just got to work more than everybody.
Yeah, that's the key to a lot of things, right?
Yeah, you just got to work hard. That's it. You just got to work hard, stick with it. It's easy. It's easy if you make it on yourself. Just work hard.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of, like you mentioned a little bit about don't learn from the homies on the streets.
Yeah.
What do you think when you see like things like that, like people tattooing in the garages and going over to like, I don't know, their boy's house and like just getting a quick tattoo real quick? What do you think when you see those kind of things?
So it's crazy. It's kind of like a catch because we all came from somewhere, So like all us tattooers at one point or not have been in a situation where we've seen it, like in the street or in a garage or whatever. And, a lot of guys in the industry, that's where they started, before they were in a shop. So I guess the main thing for me is making sure it's clean. Yeah. Like if I see something going down and it's not clean, like you're not wearing gloves or something, that's where we're going to call you out and be like, what the hell, dude? But we even do conventions, in areas where, there's carpeted floors, but we just lay out a giant thing of super thick plastic, and the health inspectors are cool with that because we kind of make like a fake, operating room where we can perform the tattoo. So as long as you're clean, I guess it's cool. But if you're the homie on the street doing it the dirty way, using needles on everybody else and getting grimy, and you're not wearing gloves and, throwing all your needles in the trash or whatever, that's just not cool, man. So I don't like that stuff, I'll call you out right away.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. So now there was another question I want to ask you. So how did, there's actually 2 more questions about tattoo I want to ask you. I just keep making more and more.
Yeah, that's all good.
So one of them was, how did you know for yourself to make that transition from working to a shop to like, okay, now I want to make this my own thing?
Well, I guess it was a trial for me because I would get a position as an artist in a business, and then something crazy would happen in the business where the owner wasn't meeting the requirements or wasn't paying the bills, so somebody would have to step in and meet those requirements and pay those bills. And I guess I just got used to having partners that weren't really, I guess I couldn't account for them, and I just decided, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it the right way, my way, make sure all the bills are paid on time, bring in all the people that need to be brought in, just make sure it's kind of done right. And that's kind of what I want to do with it, is do it the right way. So, that's what I'm here to do, is try to show everybody how it's supposed to be done, and, try to succeed and do well at the craft.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so I asked this similar question I'm about to ask you to a few other people, and it's about social media. Obviously you use social media. I've seen your Instagram pages and Facebook page. How has social media helped you out? into business?
So social media is crazy because when I first started tattooing, I mean, the computers were still old in big boxes,
Yeah.
you know, so, and cell phones were like practically non-existent. It was like an old car phone or the super giant Nokia or, you know, just big old box thing. It's kind of crazy to think. I mean, I still had a pager and stuff, like, you know. So social media wasn't even around until, what, 10, 15, or 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
And I think it's huge for the crafts because it's opened up doors for every single amazing artist. And now they're put on blast, you know, and it's just in everybody's hand. You don't have to go anywhere. Like a guy here in Lemoore, California can literally look up a person from Italy, and because they like their style, you know, they take a trip, they fly out to Italy and get a whole tattoo by an Italian, you know, which is super cool because how would you ever have that opportunity? Say you went to Italy and you passed the tattoo shop, or say it was closed that day you were there, you know, you would have missed your opportunity to see that in real time. So for social media, it's huge. Now we have a opportunity to make more money because we have a value with social media. Yeah, and it's free for the most part, unless you pay for promotions and stuff. We do that, and it's been great because the promotions are usually cheaper than a regular advertisement that you would go and get. So, you know, it's awesome. It's been great. It's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it steps it up too. It kind of raises the bar. Because you get to put everybody collectively into a position where they're kind of being judged by the world as a critic, you know, as a whole.
I'll tell you
and
what,
it's all judged by likes and views, you know.
Yeah, people do not care either.
Right,
they're gonna comment whatever they want to comment.
Right, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like good or bad, they're gonna tell you your shit sucks, or hey man, that's rad, you know, I want to come get one.
For sure.
Yeah.
So really, it also like weeds out some of like more of the, I guess, more sensitive people, I guess you can say. Like,
absolutely.
If they want to be an artist or whatever, and they start putting their work out there, and one bad comment can quickly just end them.
Yeah, it can ruin your career, or it can blow it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've seen guys go from 0 to 100, and then I've seen guys go from 100 to 0 because of it, you know?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of guys, you know, it's a newer thing. Technology, you know, taking pictures, all that stuff is an art. You know, displaying it to the certain types of people that you want your audience, you know, to be, your age ranges, you know, the type of people you want to market. You know, for Tactical Tattoo, we market military law enforcement, you know, so we're here next to a military base. And if you go anywhere here in town, Hanford or Lemoore, you know, anywhere close, there's rare places you'll find that are military specific.
Yeah.
You know, so we kind of gave them a place to come and feel at home. You know, we're working with our community to try to make this thing a better thing, and through social media, we're able to spread the word like crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we get to weed out all kinds of stuff, because what happens a lot of time too is people will be in the background, and they'll see something being done that's kind of dumb, like the homies in the street getting a tattoo out of the garage with no gloves, and here comes, you know, Nancy Drew with her Instagram account, and she next thing you know, homeboy shut down, can't tattoo because he wasn't wearing gloves, and Nancy Drew busted him, you know, called Matlock on him.
For sure. I mean, you got to be really careful when you're on social media. You just I mean, just do it right. Like, just like you said, always just do the right thing.
Yeah. As long as you're doing the right thing, I think you'll be all right. Yeah.
And so there's one more, you know, I'll save this one for the end. So now I want to talk about Flowline Sports.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, it was almost like it's almost like, I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. Like, what made you want to start it?
So I never really intended on opening it. It just kind of happened. The way it happened was I brought my kids to work one day, and I had a full day scheduled here to tattoo, and I was relying, well, it was just my two older boys. I was relying on them to be able to be at the skate park because it's a secure place. I can see it from my back door. I can see what's going on. You know, it's all gated in there. And I was mad that day because the skate park was locked. So it just frustrated me that the skate park was locked. It wasn't trashed, there was no graffiti. I don't know what was going on in there, why it would be locked. I reached out to the local law enforcement, and they told me that they locked it because the kids in the skate park called them pigs. So for freedom of speech, which is literally the First Amendment of our Constitution, it's the first one, it's the first article of our Constitution, freedom of speech, and those kids got shut down. It flared me. And I took it upon myself to go to the city manager, who actually controls whoever has the keys. And I had an educational moment with him about what needed to be done, and immediately I got the skate park unlocked. But at the same time, he talked me into an idea where those kids kind of need a mentor. And because there's no skate shop, surf shop in Lemoore that facilitates to them, they don't really respect whoever is helping them in a sense. The skate park was built ultimately for the kids of Lemoore to go and have fun and skate. But because, the laws and stuff, and these cops, and some of them are new or whatever, they try to just bow up on each other, and a lot of times there's conflict. The skateboarders used to hang out downtown and ruin all the sidewalks and steal the parking blocks and, move shit and break stuff and make ramps out of it. So that's why they built the skate park. Put them in one area, still downtown, where they can have some fun. And for it to be locked up over some, name calling, I think was out of line. And, I understood the bottom line of the problem, which was these kids need education and mentorship. Because a lot of them, some of them don't have dads, or, don't have a good life at home, or some of them use that place as a babysitter until 5 or 6 o'clock when mom and dad get home off of work, So it's just one of those things where it's a respect thing for the city workers and law enforcement, and that's what they were trying to establish. They were just kind of doing it the wrong way. So what we did was we opened up. I told the city manager, I was like, hey, man, you get me a place and I'll help you train those kids. So within a week, he called me up and he was like, hey, bud, we got a place right across the street from the skate park. And I said, okay, let's go check it out. And it's a big old empty 2,000 square foot building. And we kind of just went in there unknowing what we were going to do. We initiated with like surf supplies because we had a big surf ranch event going on, and we kind of wanted to cater to the foreigners and the people that were coming from out of country. So that was cool because they eat next door at Reina's, the local Mexican restaurant. So
shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Reina's. But that's Kelly Slater's little favorite place to eat, and all the pros kind of follow where he goes. And that's a cool thing. So they got to see where we were in the beginning, and automatically, just because we had a little pop-up shop, we were able to gain a retail distributor from as high as I am. And because we had his product, which is a surf shop local to Morro Bay, shout out to him too, we were able to kind of facilitate to the local surfers. We had shirts, shorts, just, random stuff, DVDs, surf wax, hats, glasses, sunscreen, just stuff like that. And it kind of took off. All of a sudden, we had people from all the local medias hitting us up, asking us what we were doing. And then we got worldwide coverage from the Australian, which is a major newspaper outlet in Australia. We even got interviewed by the New Yorker magazine. And we even got interviewed by other multiple agencies just in and out of California that have came to the surf ranch that wanted to kind of be a part of the movement. And I think just because we were part of the culture, they really were, feeling the vibes. So it was cool. We gave a place for the kids to come and, buy some stuff. Now we have a full-blown skate shop in there. It's huge. We have skateboards, wheels, bearings, decks. We have handboards in there, which was all sponsored to us, and they struck a deal on Shark Tank. So they supplied us with a bunch of goods, and then we also opened up a giant airbrush studio in the back that facilitates 6 students to learn how to airbrush. And so it's kind of just taken off. Like, it's been crazy. There was really no rhyme or reason. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of weird because I feel like I'm more busy sometimes with that than I am with the tattoos now, because it's taking my life over.
But that's good. It just sounds like a really good. That's an amazing story. How it just started off with helping kids to it's become this whole big thing now.
Right, and like we've went beyond. You know, last Christmas we gave 40 skateboards to foster care kids from local businesses here in Lemoore that donated. You know, monetary value. We got some checks from a couple of major manufacturers here in Lemoore, which helped us supply 40 foster care kids with brand new complete skateboards last Christmas.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And, you know, they said nobody had done that.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to give a kid something of value, you know. Skateboards are insane because, you know, they take care of you, you know, they get you places. They help with exercise. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I see a whole bunch of kids when I went to high school. They were just all skating, and I mean, that's just how, that's just how it was with them. They just loved it.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's getting more and more popular. We're from California, so well, that's how I see it anyway. Like, we're California boys, and in California, surf is huge. You know, that's where we go to cool down. And when we can't surf or it's too far, you know, we pick up a skateboard and it still gives you the same feeling. You know. So you're just surfing the streets, basically, at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so now I want to transition a little bit into if someone else were to want to, I guess, start up like a little shop like this or get into the skateboard game in any way, what would you, and surf game, what would you suggest to them?
So passion is the most important thing. If you're not passionate, it's not for you. So you have to be passionate about exactly what business you're getting into. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to open up our surf and skate shop, Flowline Sports. It just kind of happened because I was passionate about the community and the sport. Now it's being recognized as an Olympic sport, both surfing and skateboarding.
That's awesome.
So that's huge, you know, and this is a crazy time that we live in because we get to see it happen. So for me, I just think it's insane. But if you want to go out and push on and open up your own stuff, you need to be dedicated and you need to be educated. You know, that's the two main things. You need to work hard and you need to be understanding exactly what you're getting into, who you're getting into it with, what it takes to get there. Because you're going to get to a point when you open a business where, you know, all the little seeds that you made, all the little things that you did, they're not going to matter anymore because you're at a different level. It's going to take different little things and little seeds to get you to the next one. You know, it's like a tier, boom, boom, boom. And it's forever changing and evolving and keeping up with the time, keeping up with the technology. You know, that's been huge. But I mean, that goes with, you know, education, I guess. So dedication, education, that will get you anywhere and anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so another question for you is that I like to talk about people overcoming stuff, right? And so what is one of your favorite failures?
So my favorite failure is probably the tattoo thing. I think when I first started, I did it all wrong. I was the homie on the street.
Yeah.
I was literally the homie on the street because the guys in my area weren't giving me a chance and I felt like it wasn't coming quick enough. But in respect to them, you know, they paved the way. So without them, I wouldn't have anything. So I kind of had to learn that, hey, you know, you need to do it right in order to survive. And my biggest failure was messing up right at the beginning. If you want to be a good, successful person, you got to learn how to take those fails and know where you failed at and make the educated change. Because changes is what makes success. You know, and you're still going to fail. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, I've had many micro failures, but for sure, the very beginning of my tattoo career was I failed by being the homie in the street, doing tattoos the wrong way, got busted, and then that's when I knew then that, hey, I got to do it right. And that's what made my future. You know, that's why I own a tattoo shop now. It's because I, you know, reacted to that failure in a positive manner.
And imagine, I like thinking, what if that failure didn't happen? I mean, that changed from you doing basically the wrong thing to the right thing.
Right.
I mean, just like how all failures do, but you were literally doing it like in the streets, like you said, like completely wrong, but just that one thing and then now all of a sudden you have like probably a whole new mindset about it.
Right. I think it's a respect thing. You know, it's totally a respect for the game. And that's where it comes from, is if you want to be good at it, you need to understand and how to do it right.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just going to come to you in one day. And it didn't. You know, it took me 15 years to get to where I'm at right now. I started this in 2004, messing up, and I probably didn't even take it seriously until like 2010. So here I am, you know, 9 years later and pretty professional now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so another question that I've been starting to ask ever since episode 10, who do you want to be remembered as and how do you want to be remembered?
So I guess for me, I just want to be remembered as like the guy that, you know, was always helping everybody out. You know, there's a lot of times where, yeah, I run a business. At the end of the day, we're here to make money, but still at the end of the day, you know, we're here to make an impact on the environment and our community. So we do a lot of things to, you know, try to help people in certain situations get through a rough time or, you know, something like that. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from is, you know, opening the tattoo shop, opening up the surf and skate shop. So now we get to communicate with the public and we get to give them a place to kind of feel a little more free and a little more accepted, you know, because we're skateboarders and we're tattooers and, you know, we don't look like everybody else. We're kind of rough around the edge. But that's the best thing, I think, is giving back. You know, giving back is the best thing. I just want to be remembered as, you know, any chance he got, he would help you out kind of a deal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I guess
awesome.
that holds more value than anything, more than any money.
For sure,
You know,
man.
you could have a ton of money and be a shithead.
Yeah, and
there's
you see it all the time.
Right, and there's guys that are. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think being humble and just knowing where you stand, you know, and, you know, love everybody, man. You know, just, it's all about love. That's it. We're all here together. We all got to make it work.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to give you some time to talk about anything you have planned for the future, anything that we didn't cover, and anything else you might want to add.
So for the future, I'm really just kind of kicking back right now. I know I've helped out with a couple local groups. I'm kind of like an advocate for downtown. So I will go to other businesses and, you know, help promote what they're doing. And I think what I'm trying to do right now is kind of bring something more to my community, like you know, just like something cool, like a farmer's market, you know, where how it kind of was back in the old days, you know, where you can go up and down the sidewalks and buy some fruit and check out all, you know, these different local vendors and get some honey and, you know, maybe buy a book cabinet from the wood shop from my high school, you know, something like that, you know, maybe, you know, get your car painted, you know, from the local homie that is kind of way out in the cuts, you know, who you never get to see his work because he's way out there. Bring him in downtown, you know, have all the businesses meet up, you know, bring more people into our area and just kind of, you know, pump value into our town. That's kind of what I'm working on right now is building value, creating value.
Supporting each other.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Making sure everybody survives.
Yeah.
You know, we're a team, we're a village. That's just, the village, you know, has to run itself.
Yeah,
you know,
for
and
sure.
it doesn't take, it takes people being together and, you know, out there pounding the pavement and making moves. So, yeah, I guess I'm probably just going to ride that out a little bit. Hopefully we can come up with something by next year and have like a good farmer's market, you know, by next year and just get some funding in that way. Also, I'd like to see some improvements on some of our, you know, features in our area, you know, parks and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I want to try to help with that. And then my kids live here too. So I would rather spend my money here and I would rather play here in my town with my kids when it's convenient for me. And, you know, when you go on vacation, you do all that stuff there. But I want to keep my value and my money down here. And that's just what I'm really focused on right now. Just trying to make a value out of our small town. Yeah. And it's hard, you know, it's like probably the hardest thing to do because you can go anywhere and work for anybody and get a 5-figure, you know, partnership with somebody because, you know, you're really good at what you do. But I think it's harder to stay in your hometown and promote and bring back, you know, positive feedback, you know, and positive environment and community and stuff like that. So I just want to make it, you know, old school. And fun.
That's awesome, man.
Make it a cool place for kids to live.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add or anything?
Not really. I mean, I think we covered quite a bit of it. I just want to say thank you to everybody, you know, any one person that's ever supported me, you know, ever got a tattoo from me, all my teachers and mentors and everybody that's helped get to this place with me. Sometimes I feel like we do leave people out because life moves on and it moves fast. But I try to, you know, go back and tell those people, hey, thank you when I can. You know, it wouldn't have happened without them. So a big part of this is like my parents too. They're always there. They've always supported me. And so, you know, huge shout out and thanks to them. And thank you to you, you know, for coming out and put us on.
I appreciate it too, man.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, you can come back and check up with us, maybe at the other location, and we can dive more into the, you know, the skateboard and the surf stuff, and maybe get another homie on there with the airbrush stuff or whatever. We got a bunch of cool stuff going on,
man.
so yeah, there's ways, you know, we can you know, add more to this, and like I said, the airbrush thing. That's super cool. We got a class coming out November 23rd where you get to paint your own handboard. It's a value of like $500 to $600, but you also take with you the lifetime knowledge of knowing how to airbrush, which is like kind of the same motto, like, you know, give a man a fish, he eats for the night. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a life. So like we're teaching people how to airbrush, and you take that skill with you, you can, you know, go crazy with it. So
yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just come hang out with us, come visit us. We're downtown Lemoore, and we're always here pretty much 7 days a week. If we're not here, we're at an event, but usually you can catch us there too.
That's awesome,
so we're always out mingling with everybody.
I see. I'll just take a walk downtown and I see Tim just running around somewhere.
Yeah,
man.
I skateboard everywhere. I walk everywhere. You know, I eat locally. So, yeah, I mean, bring your money downtown.
For sure. Man. That's awesome. Well, is there any social medias you want to plug?
Yeah, so go follow Tactical Tattoo. Go follow Flowline Sports, Instagram, also on Facebook, and then like all of our sponsors and our brands. We have links to all that stuff on all our social medias. Go follow all of them. All the guys that work with us, we have all links to their stuff on our, you know, Tactical Tattoo and Flowline Sports pages. So hit us up, give us a follow. It's easy to get a hold of us. If there's something you guys want, hit us up. We'd love to hear some messages.
For sure.
Feedback is always positive, no matter what, good or bad.
Sure. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. We'll have all those linked down below as well. And check out the next episode of Community Proud Podcast. We'll see you next time. That's awesome, bro.
All right, bro. Yeah, that was tight, dude.
Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed the 12th episode of Community Proud Podcast with Tim Welsh. It's awesome, dude. So much love for Lemoore. So much love for the community. Really symbolizes somewhat of the kind of people we want to get on here, and kind of the people that this podcast represents, the people who have love for the valley and making their home a better place.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can just tell. I mean, like we said in the intro, that he's just got this passion for the community, and like I said in the intro, it just shows through his work. And yeah, he's just happy to be here, and he's happy to help this community grow in whatever way he can help. And I just think that's an awesome attitude to have. Because not everybody from here has that attitude, but it just shows with them. So if you like him and you like this episode, please give him a follow on Instagram or any social media at Tactical Tattoo, and his personal page as well at Art by Tim Welsh. And if you like us, we also have an Instagram at Community Proud Podcast on Instagram. And you can follow Abraham at
_Abe.Jacobs.
And you can follow myself as well at DALL eat in $21.99. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that about wraps it up. Stay tuned for the next episode. Episode 13 is going to be a big episode, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful week.